Mr. Slime.
Hello everyone! For this video, I want to create a map with a massive single continent like Pangea, where the tectonic plates move in a circular motion that would drag the continental plates into a sort of like a teardrop shape, which I think would make the map feel very fantasy-like. So right now, I'm just making the shape of it by shaping the coastlines of our continent. I like to leave these dotted islands or these small islands to make our continent look much more massive, even with only the Titanic world size. And now I'm trying to make the tropical island chains here with a bit of trial and error for our pirates or islanders, if you want to add that in our world. And then I'm going to create these huge islands here that would have an interesting lore. So keep watching for that. But right now, I'm making islands here and there to make our oceans feel less empty. Okay, now this is the shape of our continent. I like how fluid it is, like we can actually imagine where our continent is moving. Now let's add our plain soils and spread it to our lands for our biomes. Let's just increase the speed here. Now that we are done with that, we are now adding our mountains using the hill tool first. I like to put lots of mountains near our northern and southern regions because I want it to have the look of Northern Europe, Canada, or even the southern tip of South America, where these colder regions have lots of rocky and mountainous terrains. So it feels a bit more real and natural for these regions to have mountains. Now we know our coast, our mountains, and now you need to imagine where your equator, north, and south pole is. After determining where your rain is going to come from, in this world I decided it would come to the west, so the western side is where we are putting our jungles that become drier farther east. And imagine the mountains you created would block these rains to go farther inland, making some areas drier. Then separate forests to just plains the farther north or south you go. And now for the islands being separated from the mainland, some were able to create their own unique flora and fauna, where we are placing our fantasy biomes. Like over here, I want it to have some sort of like a yin and yang feel for these islands. So the other half will have enchanted biome, while the other half is the corrupted biome. So it would make for an interesting stories if you use this map. While over here at our island in the southwest, I decided to put lemon biome here. And then some swamps and mushroom forests here. Then the candy biome here farther north. Because I think candy creatures will need the cold to stay alive or else they'll melt. And these tiny islands, I decided to make them have crystal biomes where I shall call them treasure islands. What do you think? Then being very mountainous, I think having our volcanic region here would also contrast the cold region to make it a bit more interesting, like a flame versus ice scenario that you can use. Now we are just using these forest soils to determine our forest. Spread the forest soils on where you think it's warm enough and would receive lots of rain. So spread it near the coast because coastlines have the possibility of receiving more moisture than inland. Using this kind of logic, we will have a nice natural gradient from darker at the edges to lighter at center. That also represent it becoming drier and drier. See the natural gradient? Now we are going to do that to our oceans as well using the closed and deep oceans. If you notice, I try to keep the shallow water close to each other because I want to have land bridges. What I mean by that is during the age of ice, these shallow waters will freeze and become ice where people can walk over them to get to other separated lands, which I think would make the age of ice play an important role during wars or for your stories. Speaking of which, I would also like to have ice shelves at our North and South Pole, just like the Arctic ice here on Earth. So the tiny islands I put there would make it possible for this ice to grow this big, just like on Earth. So during the age of ice again, we will have ice shelves that people can walk over and maybe block some boats. And to make it more believable, I'm going to create these cracks in our shallow waters so when it freezes, it would like the ice is breaking apart, creating icebergs. And now we are just doing our deep oceans, spreading it to our whole world. I just wanted to add a bit more mountains here to really feel that it is starting to break apart to create a new continent. And now let's put our mountain tool on top of our hills to make our highest peaks. Then using the forest soil and permafrost biome, we are going to add our glaciers on top of these mountains. Then over here in our volcanic region, I wanted to add lava rivers and lakes to make these regions very active in volcanic activities. These rivers flew to the seas that solidified and created these tiny rocky islands. That's basically the idea. Alright, almost done. Speaking of rivers, add lots of rivers coming from our high elevations like our mountains that will be connected into a single main river that flows out to the sea. And in the west, receiving lots of rain and being a jungle, it reminds me of the Amazon rainforest, so I wanted to have lots of rivers. On the other side exists another basin for our water to flow, to which created our swamps. Now just continue adding our rivers, especially mountains with glaciers on top that will feed the rivers in our savanna regions. Then we'll just add our lakes and oases and we are done. So I'm finally finished. Comment down below what you think about the map. What do you like and dislike about it, and where would you put your kingdoms? That would be all, and please like and subscribe for more time-lapse and tips. Thank you for watching!
Welcome to the world of Renoa, a single continent full of life. The north, covered in ice and snow, created the legendary Candy Island. The west, blessed with rains, created huge jungles and forests, while the east became drier and drier, creating our deserts. Further south, we will meet the familiar white scenery, but contrasted by the blazing, burning volcanic region of the east. Now where would you place your kingdom? Mr.